Hi everyone, and Happy New Year from the Kids Story Room. We've got lots of exciting stories lined up for you in 2019, so we really hope that you enjoy listening and stay with us on the journey. Now today, it's time for episode 8. Today's story is inspired by a little girl called Emily. Emily asked if I could write her a story about a little spider who went to the moon. It's a very sweet, simple story, really lovely for bedtime. This one's for you, Emily. Winky and the Moon by Anna Steen. Once upon a nighttime hour, a tiny spider weaved a giant web. Her name was Winky, and her favourite place to weave was between the branches of an orange tree and the corner of a very old and crumbly house. As Winky weaved, she watched the moon rising over the east of the house and sang her song into the night. Why, hello, moon, you beautiful thing. I wonder if you can hear me sing. I love your light and your round moon face, how you creep through the night with shimmering grace. If I could, I would visit you. We could talk all through the night. I'd weave you a web to rest your head when you were tired from burning bright. Every night, Winky sang this song as she weaved her web. When she was finished weaving, she would sit in the centre of her web, where she had the best view of the moon, and rest there, watching as the moon slowly crossed the sky, until the dusty light of morning faded the moon away. Then Winky would crawl under a leaf of the orange tree and go to sleep. Winky didn't know that there was another creature living in the orange tree, a little blackbird called Piper, who every night would quietly sit hidden in the branches and listen to Winky's song. One night, when the moon was full and bright and the night especially clear, Piper jumped to the edge of the branch closest to Winky and her web. "Excuse me," said Piper to Winky. Winky got such a shock she jumped in the air mid-weave and a strand of her web went floating up high away into the night, a silver moonlit thread reaching into the sky. "Oh," cried Winky, "I didn't know there was anyone else here. I'm sorry if I was singing too loud." "Not at all," chirped Piper. "I listen to your song every night. I love it." "Thank you. My name is Winky. It's very nice to meet you." "I'm Piper." "But aren't you a blackbird?" asked Winky. "Yes, my mum and dad thought it was funny to call me Piper." Piper shook her head and rolled her eyes. "I've been thinking, Winky, if you love the moon so much, why don't you visit her?" "Visit her?" asked Winky. "Well, I would love to, but I don't know how to. She's so very far away." Piper jumped to the very end of her branch, where Winky's web was wrapped tightly around the furthest tip. "What are you doing?" cried Winky. "You break my web." Piper pulled the web away from the branch and started to fly into the air with it. "Piper!" shouted Winky. "Stop!" Piper didn't stop, but flew with the web up into the moonlit night. The web stretched and stretched and stretched up and up and up into the night sky. Winky was scared. She scuttled down the bottom of the web and onto the crumbly old wall of the house and covered her eyes with 4 of her legs. She sat like that for a little while before she felt brave enough to look. When she peeked out from under one of her legs, she saw her web stretching up all the way through the sky. Piper was still flying, up and up and up and up, until Winky could hardly see her. Just as the blackbird was almost out of sight, Winky saw Piper flick her head hard towards the moon, and as she did, she let go of the web. The web went floating higher and higher. It seemed to be even higher than the moon. The web quivered in the moonlight, and then Winky saw the most amazing thing. Her web, stretched almost to breaking point, started to drift toward the moon, and slowly, gently landed on the surface of the moon and stuck there. Winky saw Piper flying back through the sky towards her. She was singing Winky's song and smiling. Winky looked up at her web. The beautiful silver thread stretched from the corner of the old crumbly house all the way up to the moon. Winky was amazed. She reached up and pulled on her web, but there was no doubt her web was stuck to the moon. All Winky had to do to visit the moon was to crawl all the way along her web. Piper landed quietly near Winky on an orange tree branch. "There you go, Winky. Now you can visit the moon. Please tell me what it's like up there. I'd love to go myself, but it's just a little bit too far for me." "Oh, Piper, thank you. This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Why don't you come with me? You could climb my web, couldn't you?" "Your web is only strong enough for you, Winky. Go, my little friend, go and visit the moon. I will watch you from here," said Piper, and she settled down on her branch. Winky began to crawl along her web, up and up and up. When she was very high, but not too high, she turned and waved a leg at Piper. Piper chirruped Winky's song, and Winky began to sing as she climbed higher and higher along her silver web up into the night. "Why, hello, moon, you beautiful thing. I wonder if you can hear me sing. I love your light and your round moon face, how you creep through the night with shimmering grace. I am coming to visit you. We can talk all through the night. I'll weave you a web to rest your head when you are tired from burning bright." Just when Winky's legs were starting to shake from climbing for so long, she saw the face of the moon seem to swing out of the night toward her. The moon was so bright, so white. Winky had to close her eyes for a moment to let her eyes adjust to the light. "Why, hello, Winky," a soft, beautiful voice called. "Hello, Moon," said Winky. "It really is so wonderful to meet you." "It is wonderful to meet you too, Winky. I listen to your song every night and hope that one day you would be able to find a way to visit me." "Oh, I didn't know you could hear me from all the way up here." Winky looked down at the earth behind her, only a tiny little speck now, such a very, very long way away. "Yes, I can hear you very clearly," said the moon with a smile. "The earth is a wonderful sound stage for us up here in space. When someone sings on Earth, the sound travels straight up and so clearly. It's very beautiful, especially when I hear a song as lovely as yours, Winky." Winky smiled the biggest smile she had ever smiled. She had never felt so happy. She had climbed all the way to the moon, and she was talking to her, and the moon was friendly and had heard her song and really liked it. "Thank you, Moon," said Winky. "It's not only me who can hear your song, Winky. Do you see all the stars out there twinkling at you?" "Yes," replied Winky. "All the stars can hear your song too. They hear all the songs from Earth, and the more songs that are sung, the brighter they twinkle. Can you see them twinkling at you now?" Winky looked out into space. The world around her, above and below, was full of bright, happy stars. Winky could see them sparkling towards her, and all at once they waved to her, and as they waved, the whole sky was filled with light. For a moment, the darkness was entirely gone, and the sky was filled with silver, golden, and flaming reds and dusky pinks. It was like a fireworks show bigger than any Winky had ever seen. The earth below was bathed in a light so bright she had to squint her eyes against the glare. "Wow," Winky whispered. "This is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." The moon smiled at Winky. "Thank you, Winky. You have made us all very happy with your beautiful song. Please keep singing every night, and know that we will be up here listening out for you. We hear so many songs, but yours is one of our favourites, and we would be so sad if you ever stopped singing." "I will, Moon, I promise. I will always sing for you. And my friend Piper, who helped me get up here, will sing for you too. She is a bird and has a much better voice than me." "Ah, we love Piper's song too, but your voice is just as wonderful, Winky," smiled the moon. "Never think that because you are so tiny, your voice doesn't carry. We hear you loud and clear." The moon turned slightly and faded just the slightest bit. Her eyes drooped, and she yawned a big moony yawn. "It's almost time for the sun to come up, Winky. It's time for me to go to sleep and rest. And for you too. You must be very tired after that long climb up your web." "Yes, a little," said Winky. "But that's okay. I'd better climb down now so that I get back before the sun comes up. I think it might be very hot up here when the sun rises." "I have an idea, Winky," said the moon. "If you don't mind letting go of your web, I have another way for you to get home. How do you feel about a starlight slippery dip?" "What is a starlight slippery dip?" asked Winky a little uncertainly. "Trust me," said the moon. "It'll be fun." Winky was secretly very tired. It was hard to breathe up on the moon, even for a little spider, and the long climb up had taken all the energy out of her legs. Winky unstuck her web from the face of the moon and threw it out into space, a silvery wispy strand waving and wafting away into the darkness. Winky suddenly felt very lonely. Without her web, she had no way of getting home. But just as she started to worry, a small, fiery star came hurtling toward the moon and stopped with a screech just next to Winky. "Climb on, Winky," chirped the star. "I'll get you home in no time." Winky cautiously climbed aboard the star. She was worried the star might be terribly hot, but in fact it was smooth and cool and very comfortable. "Bye, Moon," said Winky. "Thank you for the very best night of my life." "Bye, Winky," said the moon. "Thank you for visiting us, and thank you for your song. Never stop singing." "I won't, don't you worry," smiled Winky, and she turned to look back down at the earth shining away in the far, far distance. "Okay, Winky, hold on." The star revved her engine, and a shower of sparks shot up and cascaded all around them. Winky gripped her 8 legs on tight and held her breath. The star let out a whooping sound and started to fly through the sky toward the earth so fast that all Winky could see was a blaze of fiery orange light all around her. She closed her eyes against the blaze and just enjoyed the ride. "Woohoo!" cried the star. "Woohoo!" cried Winky. She was still woohooing when she realized that everything around her was suddenly still. She opened one eye very, very slowly and saw the corner of a very old and crumbling house. She opened her other eye and saw the orange tree starting to take shape in the dawn light. She was home. But where was the star? Winky looked up and saw a faint trail of blazing light beyond the chimney of the house. That must be her star, flying off into the night. She looked up higher towards the moon, her brightness beginning to fade as the sun's rays began to creep over the horizon. Winky waved a few of her legs at the moon, and she could have been sure that she saw the moon wink at her. Wink and smile as the night faded away from her. Winky sighed and laughed. Who would have ever thought that she, Winky, a tiny spider from an orange tree, could have travelled all the way to the moon and become her friend? "Welcome home, Winky," chirruped a familiar voice. "How was your adventure?" "Oh, Piper!" exclaimed Winky. "Thank you so much for helping me to go up there. I've had the very best night of my life." "I saw," said Piper. "The stars put on a show the likes of which I've never seen. I figured you must have been having fun." "I sure did. And it's all thanks to you. I'd never have done it without you suggesting I go. You're the best friend a spider could have. Oh, And the moon and all the stars love it when we sing, so we should keep singing every night. And maybe tomorrow night we could make up a song together." "I'd love that," said Piper. "Good job, Winky. You're a brave little spider." "Thanks, Piper. You're a really kind blackbird." Winky yawned a big 8-leg stretching yawn and spun a short 1-strand web to a leaf of the orange tree. She climbed underneath the leaf and settled down to sleep. "See you tonight, Piper." "See you tonight, Winky." "See you tonight, Moon." And she closed her eyes, folded up her legs, and went to sleep, feeling like the happiest spider that had ever been to the moon and back.